Baby shark, baby shark, baby shark, baby shark, umami shark. Are you ready?
On October 17, 2019, the Lebanese government came up with a new tax that it will impose on the Lebanese people. The latest thing to be taxed, WhatsApp, a free messaging and calling app. After the introduction of this tax, the Lebanese people decided enough was enough and went to the streets to protest. 10 people soon became 100 and then 1,000. They blocked the streets by burning tires. The next day, more people went down, a surprise to many. They went down and stayed down, and they continued to go down the next day, and the one after that, and the 60 days after that. However, the protests weren't about the tax anymore. The latter was removed during the first few days of the protest. The protests were about the government. Many protesters accused the current individuals in power of corruption ever since they came into power. Since the beginning of this revolution, the Prime Minister resigned along with the government, schools closed, a few individuals passed away, and latest of all, a new Prime Minister was elected. Individuals from every part of the country are participating in the protests, and for the first time in a while, they feel proud of being Lebanese and claim to finally united. Although there were many instances that support that claim, there are still many events that cast a doubt on it. There are many controversial things about the protests of October 17th. Many people question the motivation of specific individuals to go down to the protest. Not only do some believe that many individuals are going down because they were told so by their leaders, but others also think some people are down just for the music, the dancing, and the drugs. If that were the case, it would illustrate the opposite of unity, and the whole point of the so-called revolution, that the Lebanese people are finally united. Also, doubts come from the clashes between people during the revolution. Some go down to attack a particular party, while others go down simply to create problems. Many question the reason for which some people go down. Many videos show people drinking alcohol and taking drugs, which could be the reason for them to go down. It is true, however, that people can always drink alcohol and take drugs, but there is no doubt that the protests can facilitate the illegal distribution of alcohol and drugs. Furthermore, the presence of DJs and music can also set a question mark. Is it possible people go down just to dance, drink alcohol, and take drugs? Yes, but of course, not everyone goes down for these reasons. Also, there have been many instances of friction between people. Many of them have come due to road closures. The inability for taxi drivers to work and barely gain enough money for their children. The difficulty for people to reach their jobs or to reach a loved one in the hospital. In most cases, the roads remain blocked for these people. The road blocking individuals believe that there are alternative routes and that this is the only way the so-called corrupt politicians could hear them. However, there were also instances during which the road blockers allowed and it created tension, but not like the problems I just described. The problems created in this case were due to the bias of the people closing the roads, since they were opening for a politician, Wali Jumblat. The latter isn't part of the government, but he is a known politician that has been around since the Civil War. Hence, he belongs to the group of people that the Lebanese people want out. although not everyone has the same opinion. His people don't want him out. At the same time, Michel Aoun's people don't want Aoun leaving. The same applies to all the other politicians in power like Nabih Berri and Jaja. Similarly, many individuals who follow the Kata'ib party verbally attacked other parties, including Hezbollah. And others also said, this back and forth created a lot of friction between both groups and led to various problems. Another example of fights also happened with followers of the Kata'ib party. However, this time it was with the Free Patriotic Movement, Tayyar Watan al-Hur. It was also because of the road closures. The insistence of one party to block the roads was interpreted as an attack on the other party who wanted to pass. These examples underline a not so surprising pattern. Everyone wants everyone out of the government except who they like and follow. They can add a big question mark regarding the claim of the Lebanese protesters that says they're genuinely united. Although there were many incidents that would lead someone to think the Lebanese people aren't united, there were also things during the protests that helped show unity. The people joined forces and literally held hands across the west coast of the country, from the north of Lebanon to the south. As frustrated as some were, the army was always a symbol of unity. The protests resonated with the Lebanese people all around the world. Many citizens continued to march and protest for peace after numerous altercations. And finally, during Independence Day, the Lebanese people decided to celebrate all together and organized a march. On the 27th of October, 170,000 Lebanese individuals went to the streets of Lebanon with the Lebanese flag and formed a human chain. This chain spanned over 170 kilometers and consisted of men and women, old and young, rich and poor, Lebanese citizens. They stood on the streets of Lebanon singing the national anthem, meeting other Lebanese and having fun together. Another remarkable event that linked the north of Lebanon with the south is Bosat al-Thawra. It consisted of a bus followed by numerous cars that also went from the north of Lebanon and drove down to the south, passing by many cities and linking many people. These two events underline the fact that the Lebanese people are literally hand in hand in this revolution. Another key factor in this revolution is the role of the army. Even though there were many alterations between individuals, the army was always respected. Even though the army was preventing a group of people of doing what they wanted to, like closing the roads, the army wasn't attacked. Instead, some soldiers were embraced, others were given flowers, and positive chants were directed at them. One soldier was reportedly overwhelmed by this reception and cried. Following that, many individuals came and hugged him. Moreover, after a big altercation between two parties, many in Lebanon feared the revolution was about to turn into a civil war. In fact, some individuals were left injured. The fights continued well into the night, and tensions between the two groups remained well into the next day. In addition to all that, the problems were happening in a historic area that was at the center of the civil war in Lebanon 30 years ago. In order to relieve this tension, the mothers of the individuals marched in the same streets asking for peace. They were a wake-up call to many. They reminded them that they were forgetting that they're both Lebanese and want the same things, for Lebanon to become the Lebanon it used to be. Furthermore, many Lebanese individuals around the world wanted to be a part of this revolution, so they decided to fly over and come to Lebanon for a weekend. That weekend, some state that there were nearly 2 million individuals in the streets protesting peacefully. However, of course not everyone was able to come to Lebanon. But that didn't stop people, since they organized protests in over 30 cities across the world. Cities like Paris, London, Sydney, Houston, Montreal, etc. Finally, on the 22nd of November falls Lebanon's Independence Day. Every year, there is a march in front of the President, the Speaker of the Parliament, and the Prime Minister. This year, this march still happened, but it was shortened. At the same time, the Lebanese people were having their own march in downtown Beirut. This celebration included a DJ, a march for doctors, teachers, soldiers, engineers, so on and so forth, and the Lebanese spirit. Many stated that, for the first time in a very long time, they felt Lebanese again, and they were proud of that feeling. All in all, these events showcase that even though there might be some tension between individuals, most are actually united. Most are going to the streets as Lebanese, and they mostly have the same goal: make Lebanon the country it once was. In addition, acts like holding hands with whoever is next to you just because they're Lebanese, and chanting for peace and love and a great Lebanon illustrate a sense of unity. This is why these events strengthen the claim the Lebanese people are united. In all revolutions, there will always be outliers who are afraid of change or are simply against it. In the protests of October 17th, many claimed to be united, while others showed they still have the old segregated mindset. They showed this by attacking rival political parties, by closing roads to everyone and creating altercations, and by going down simply because they want to fight with other people, create tension, and ruin the revolution's image. At the same time, the revolution is led by the youth. The latter are optimistic and have been exposed to so much through social media. Because of that, the revolution has a spirit that hasn't been seen before, and there are people who are truly united. Independence Day is one example of a true display of unity. In the end, the old way of this revolution to yield great result is to let people believe. By believing and continuing to protest peacefully, the revolution will inspire people to be united. Will the bad parts ever disappear? Probably not. But at least they'll be overshadowed by positive and bright events led by the leaders of tomorrow.